At present, China's new energy vehicles not only maintain rapid growth, but also become the main force going overseas market. So, can the new energy automobile industry lead China to become the world's largest power? Okay, in today's video, let's talk about this issue. In fact, China has been the world's largest automobile producer since 2009, and it is far ahead. According to the International Alliance of Automobile Manufacturers, 26,082,220 vehicles, passenger cars plus commercial vehicles, were produced and manufactured in China in 2021, accounting for 33% of the global total. But China is obviously not a car power. Germany has never been the #1 car producer, but Germany is undoubtedly a car power. What is the difference? Well, it is technology and brand. Although China produces so many cars, a considerable part of them are foreign brands such as Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz, Honda, and Toyota. Even in 2021, the bulk of China's domestic auto production was shared by joint ventures and foreign automakers, with domestic brands making only 44.4% of total car production. More than half of the production and most of the profits are taken by joint ventures and foreign investment, which is also the fundamental reason why China has never been a car power. There is no doubt that the current emergence of new energy vehicles has given China a good opportunity, which gives us a great opportunity to make breakthroughs in technology and brands. Sales of new energy vehicles in China have increased from 13,000 in 2012 to 3.52 million in 2021. Ranking first in the world in production and sales for 7 consecutive years. This year's global sales of battery electric vehicles are expected to exceed 10 million, and China's sales account for 50% plus of the world's total. What's more interesting is that among the top 15 new energy sales rankings in October 2022, there are very few new energy manufacturers with joint ventures and foreign capital, and basically all domestic manufacturers dominate the list, which also means the real rise of domestic cars. In the new energy vehicle industry chain, more than 30 kinds of materials are used for an ordinary battery cell. Cell is assembled into pack, and other raw materials are needed, such as end plates, insulating blocks, insulating covers, buckles, gaskets, etc. About 50 kinds of materials. Pack is assembled into the power battery pack for final loading, and more than a dozen materials are needed. It is such a power battery that requires hundreds of raw materials, and many key materials are implemented in the strategy of ABC suppliers. A is the main supplier, B is the secondary supplier after measurement, and C is the backup supplier. I roughly calculated that there are nearly 100 suppliers, which means that one power battery can drive nearly 100 business operations. There are thousands of components like batteries in the structure of new energy vehicles. Although not all components are as complicated as power batteries, there are definitely thousands of companies driven by them. It can be seen that the chain of economic benefits brought by a car company is amazing. If there are 2 or 3 car companies in a city, hundreds of suppliers and hundreds of thousands of employees around them, they can definitely support a national-level industrial development zone. This is why the establishment of a factory of a big car company will attract countless cities to recommend it, because the supply chain it brings is too big and too wide. According to the practice of traditional car companies, taking Japan as an example, Japan produced 7.85 million domestic cars last year, driving more than 5 million people in direct employment and more than 5 million people in indirect employment. The population of Japan is 126 million, and 70% of the working population is about 88 million, which means that 11% of the working population is related to the automobile industry. In 2021, the output of Japan's 8 major automobile companies is 23.21 million. And the output of foreign countries is twice that of domestic ones, which means that automobile manufacturing has brought huge profits to Japan. In other words, automobile manufacturing is now Japan's pillar industry, supporting the development of the Japanese economy and keeping Japan's status as a developed country. There is no doubt that the automobile industry is the touchstone of whether a country can achieve the ultimate industrial upgrading. In the past few decades, China has established a relatively independent industrialization foundation, but frankly speaking, it has not achieved an independent automobile industry. Even if the market share of the joint venture is expanding, it is still difficult to hide the embarrassment. Not only about half of the profits will be taken away by foreign shareholders, but core components such as engines will also allow foreign countries to make a fortune. However, new energy vehicles have brought opportunities for overtaking in curves to the Chinese auto industry. Brand independence, technology independence, and supply chain independence are the essential differences between China's new energy vehicle industry and the traditional fuel vehicle industry. Well, just imagine it, 10 years later to 2032, China will be the same as Japan. At that time, the cars made in China were basically produced by domestic brands, and the original 10 million domestically produced cars in China became 30 million, which brought about a really big change. At the same time, if domestic new energy forces can really break through the blockade of developed countries and achieve breakthroughs in overseas markets, then China will be the #1 manufacturing country. The various benefits brought about by the high value added of automobile manufacturing, even with China's huge size, are still powerful boosters. China's return to the top of the world is no longer a dream. Moreover, in the past 20 years, China's GDP has largely been driven by real estate. Land and houses have become the anchor of RMB, but they have also become black holes for capital. The rise of new energy vehicles will redefine the composition of China's GDP and the anchor of the RMB. Of course, the symbol of the ultimate success of China's industrial upgrading is not the gold content of GDP, but the gold content of GNP. The contribution of the domestic auto industries of Japan, Germany, and the United States, the world's three major auto manufacturers, to their national GDP is indeed shrinking, but with the help of their huge overseas presence, they have supported the GNP of these three countries. The real breakthrough hope for China's new energy vehicles lies in overseas markets. It is not only to sell domestic cars overseas, but also to establish production and sales bases overseas to directly create GNP. When Europeans and Americans buy Chinese new energy vehicles as naturally as Chinese people buy their bags, it is the time when China's industrial upgrading is successful. To achieve this great goal, first, we must defend globalization, and second, we must expand opening up. Trade is not just a trade issue, and the economy is not just an economic issue. The most important thing in doing business is to make the other party trust you. That is to say, in the past, it was real estate that protected GDP, and in the future, it is the way of doing business that will protect GNP. Finally, China is too big to rely on a single industry to bring the country to become the world's most powerful country. In short, the automobile industry has a great influence because its upstream and downstream affect the industrial chain too long, and it is definitely a good opportunity to go from gasoline vehicles to new energy vehicles. As for whether it is the world's #1 power, this is not something that the auto industry can decide. From automobiles to large aircrafts, China's industry has been advancing and has a long way to go. However, China's development of the new energy automobile industry must first reach the level of an automobile power, and then gradually expand to the strength of a manufacturing power, and eventually the manufacturing power will go one step further to challenge the world's #1 power. It is difficult to conceal that the new energy automobile industry has great positive significance for China to become a powerful country. Okay, that's all for today. Please put your comments below, and share your insightful ideas with other people. Do you want to learn about more auto stories? Please keep following our channel and like our videos. Your precious time with us is highly appreciated. See you.